Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Russ Riesinger. Thanks for joining us tonight. Residents in parts of eastern Montana spent the day cleaning up after last night's powerful storms. Those storms tore through several counties, ripping off roofs, flooding homes and streets, knocking out power for what could be days. Power will likely be out for 2 to 3 days for some residents in Macomb County. And here's a closer look at some of that storm damage across eastern Montana. The National Weather Service in Glasgow says the storm caused damage to chimneys and shingles on homes and campers. The Glasgow Weather Service reports high winds and 1.94 inches of rainfall during that storm. Hail also caused damage and flooding in Custer County. In Macomb County, the Macomb Electric Cooperative, with help from several other co-ops, is fixing more than 130 power poles that were damaged over a 25-mile stretch.
Very intense for almost an hour and a half. There's a lot of damage on the ground as far as outbuildings, barns. The National Weather Service is inspecting a house that lost its roof. The damage was mainly in Macomb County along Highway 200 and just touching into Garfield County.
All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire, some very powerful storm cells last night, obviously. Hopefully, we won't be seeing that anytime soon again.
Yeah, I think we're finally going to catch a break. Let me show you. Started off with today's thunderstorm outlook. You'll notice there was nothing severe about it. Just maybe some rain showers. That's all we were forecasting. You know what? That's about what we had. Tomorrow, kind of the same thing, just some isolated, very spotty showers. Maybe not a couple of claps of thunder, but that's about it. Really not much coming in. So here's how this whole thing's going to play out. Here's where we are tonight at 10:30. You'll see not much here in the Billings area, but keep your eye towards the southwest. That's where we start to see the moisture move in towards the Beartooth. And then we think by 3:30 tomorrow afternoon could see some rain showers moving into the Billings area on Friday. Then that kind of moves away. And then by Saturday morning, look for the rain showers 7 a.m. throughout most of the day on Saturday, on into Saturday evening. And eventually the whole thing just starts to fade away. And then by the time the rest of your long holiday weekend is here, the sun comes out. Russ?
All right, thank you, Bob. Well, a Billings girl's in the hospital tonight with head injuries after she was hit by a truck this afternoon. It happened at the intersection of 13th Street West and Grand Avenue. Sergeant Shane Winden says a 44-year-old Billings man driving a pickup was making a left turn from 13th onto Grand. A 15-year-old girl was walking her dog in the crosswalk heading north. The truck hit the girl. The dog was killed. Police say that neither alcohol or speed appear to be factors. Parts of that intersection were closed for hours while police investigated. A new Montana law that limits the collection of absentee ballots cast by other people has been temporarily blocked by a state judge. That order came in a lawsuit filed by Montana's Indian tribes that say the law violates the voting rights of Native Americans. State District Judge Jessica Fear of Billings issued a temporary restraining order on Wednesday, blocking that law known as the Ballot Interference Prevention Act. The law, passed by Montana voters in 2018, says organizers can collect only 6 absentee ballots at a time and must sign a special form when delivering those ballots to county election offices. Well, 5 Montana Indian tribes and 2 other groups are suing to overturn the law. They say it essentially halts ballot collection efforts for Native voters both on and off the reservations. The suit says Native Americans often have poor access to voting offices or mail and instead rely on others. Montana Native Vote will start reactivating ballot collection efforts right away for Montana's June 2nd primary, but they say with COVID-19 restrictions on reservations, it may take a few days to get things going.
Here in Billings, we're going to start texting people and setting up appointments to pick up ballots or drop or give people a ride or whatnot. But that won't happen on the reservations until we have an agreement with the tribal nations saying that they allow us to go back in and resume ballot collection activities.
Judge Fear set a hearing for next Friday on whether to grant a permanent injunction to block the law while she decides whether it's unconstitutional. Well, groups seeking to qualify initiatives for Montana's November ballot have until next month to collect the thousands of signatures they need. However, the COVID-19 emergency has forced them to change their tactics. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has more.
Every 2 years, signature gatherers fan out across Montana, seeking signatures on petitions to place proposed initiatives on the general election ballot. But this year, those signature drives look far different than in the past. On Thursday, signature gatherers for New Approach Montana were on Helena's Walking Mall, asking for support for Initiative 190 and Constitutional Initiative 118, a pair of measures to allow recreational marijuana in the state.
Sir, would you like to sign our petition to legalize adult use cannabis?
Those collecting signatures wore masks, and those who signed used individually sealed pens.
We try to do a contactless initiative signing as much as possible.
New Approach is planning to bring on 200 signature gatherers and train them all in health guidelines.
We're going to follow the governor's directives to the very close detail, but we're still going to go out there and get our signatures.
Taking all of these additional steps makes qualifying a ballot measure a more expensive proposition, and not every group supporting a proposed initiative has the resources to do it. MT Cares is backing Initiative 187, which would require utility companies to get more of their electricity from renewable sources.
Basically, we're doing this on a shoestring with a bunch of retired folks.
The group stopped gathering signatures in person because many of their volunteers are in high-risk groups. They asked the Montana Secretary of State's office to rule that they could accept signatures by mail if the signature gatherers included a signed declaration. The Secretary of State agreed to allow it.
You shouldn't have to risk a fatal disease in order to petition your government and exercise your constitutional right to do that.
New Approach has also started using that method. Both groups say they're optimistic they can still get their measures in front of voters. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
A standard initiative must get more than 25,000 valid signatures to qualify for the ballot, while a constitutional amendment must get more than 50,000. Committees have to submit all their signatures by June 19th. It has been more than 2 months since students were sent home from school. It means the loss of many traditional rites of passage like prom, sporting events, and even finals. As Q2's Brandon Sullivan reports, seniors now are gearing up for a drastically different graduation than the one they ever once envisioned.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we can have your attention, please. We have some unfortunate news to share with you. We have received word from the Montana Department of Health and Human Services that there are now 4 confirmed cases in Montana. As such, the Montana High School Association has no choice to suspend the remainder of Class C boys and girls basketball tournament.
I remember going into the game, the boys basketball game, knowing there's no cases in Montana. There's no way they're gonna shut this down. And we went through an hour of that game and they had come out saying there's 4 cases in Montana, we're shutting it down.
I directed public K-12 schools to close starting today until March 27th, all across our state. I want to be clear that this decision was not made lightly. And
I definitely thought that there was a possibility schools would maybe close or restrict some things, but I don't think any of us were expecting Friday, that day, the 13th, to be it.
Today, I will be extending the directive to stay at home for an additional 2 weeks through April 24th.
Everybody was kind of, optimistic, like, oh, it's just going to be 2 weeks and we'll, come back thinking this isn't a very, big ordeal, but it turned out to be something a lot bigger.
In Billings, School District 2 trustees made the unanimous decision tonight to continue with online learning for the rest of the school year. A preliminary plan is in place for high school graduation, but the ceremony may have a drastically different look than what people are used to.
I feel like there's a lot of things that I took for granted, like seeing my teachers, seeing my friends. 1 second, they were all there, and then the next, everything was gone.
I think a lot of people are mad, and I just think it just happened so suddenly and so quickly that I don't think any of us have really had time to process, and we didn't really know how to because there was just so much unknowns.
As parents, we do everything in our power to shield our children from pain and suffering. But no matter how hard we try, inevitably, they're forced to navigate life's challenges on their own. We're living in unprecedented times. And for our children, grasping the idea of not being able to finish out their senior year the way it had always played out in their mind was, in a word, devastating.
It's just been so chaotic, thinking of, on the one hand, I'm still trying to, I need to finish school first, but then, that doesn't even seem important right now.
Why were we the class chosen to, experience this? It's just everything that I worked for up to this point has been just completely, banished, pretty much.
I can't hang out with my whole group of friends and all of us as seniors together, which is really hard. I mean, we enjoy being together, and this is the moments that we really want to spend the most time together, and we can't do that.
I've had my fair share of hard times with this, and I've, been going through things, and just because of what's been going on, not been able to come to school, not been able to see my peers, it's been definitely hard, that's for sure. But
Peyton was one of many Montana athletes to have their high school athletic career cut short. One minute, he and his team are celebrating a berth into the Class AA championship game, only to have the tournament canceled hours later. Students across Montana were losing what was, in their minds, everything they had worked for, everything they had achieved. And yet, through the anger, sadness, and isolation, they found perspective.
You graduate high school's a part of life, but there's a lot of these people you're never going to see ever again, maybe, and I really realized that, boy, we were sure lucky to be at school and to have all the great experiences that we had. Granted that we got cut short of it, but I just tried to remain positive as best I can and try to stay in contact with people. And like I said before, though, like that's what really matters to me, is just being in contact with those people and trying to get through this together.
I think this is like a perfect time to bounce back, and even though we didn't get the normal high school experience for our senior year, I still think that this shouldn't slow us down. We should find a way to look past all of this and use it to our advantage, use it as leverage to bigger things.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
No one else has this story. So we, in a way, this might sound weird, but we can cherish that.
Take my love, take it down.
We'll look back and we'll remember this. We'll see that we came out of it, we came out on the other end.
And I saw my reflection in a snow-covered hill till the landslide.
I think what matters most is seeing my friends again. Just being with my classmates is something that I think means more than celebrating our accomplishments, even though I do still think that's important. But I think the connections with people are what is going to carry with us for the rest of our lives, not just our achievements.
Billings Central High School was one of the first schools in the country to announce they would go forward with a physical graduation. Billings Public Schools followed not long after. The 2020 graduation will look much different from in years past, but for these students, it gives them a piece of closure they've worked so hard to achieve.
I've gone to school with these kids for, 10 years or something, and I think it's just important to end it off with them too.
There's a lot of teachers I'll miss. I think, honestly, I'm thankful for the little things in life anymore. I know there's some students that don't have great homes, and that this has been even harder than it was for me. I'm thankful for a supportive family and a supportive school district anymore that's willing to go to the ends for our students.
Like I said, just don't take things for granted. That's what I've really gotten out of this, and really, take those little moments and hold on to them and live in the moment.
This experience has shaped us, and we may not realize it right now, but I think we can all use this experience to come out better than we were before, as hard as that sounds right now.
All right, thank you, Brandon. And just because graduating seniors here in Billings must limit their graduation guests to 2, you won't have to miss the ceremonies. We're happy to announce that we'll provide a place to watch their ceremonies live from Metro Park. You can join us Sunday, May 24th throughout the day live on our CW station. Skyview will be at 9 a.m., Senior at 2 p.m., and West High at 7 p.m. We'll also stream the ceremonies live on the Q2 Facebook page. All right, still to come on tonight's Q2 10 o'clock news, we're going to meet the patron saint of PPEs and learn what she's done to earn that nickname. And in sports, Scott hits the links and catches up with one of the best high school golfers Montana has ever seen.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade, and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.